All right, so you guys wanted to deep dive Cassandra Nova. And oh boy, buckle up, because this one is a doozy. Like, we're talking Professor X, good versus evil, all the telepathy you can handle. But then, bam, evil twin.
It's interesting, though, because right off the bat, you run into that nature versus nurture question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much of who we are is predetermined and how much is environment? Cassandra Nova really makes you think about that.
Well, yeah, and it's not like they even had a chance to, like, fight over toys or anything, because the wiki entry is saying their first interaction was like a psychic brawl while they were still in the womb.
Yeah, it's they don't really gloss over that part, do they? It's weird. Cassandra is this what they call a Mumadrai. It's a Shi'ar thing. The Shi'ar is this whole other alien empire in Marvel. But anyway, a Mumadrai is basically pure psychic energy that's like drawn to a powerful mutant even before they're born. So in this case, it was Charles Xavier.
Well, okay, so hold on. Are you saying that instead of, like, twin telepathy, they were going at it with their brains before they were even born?
Pretty much.
That's got to be some kind of record for worst sibling rivalry.
Right. And it makes you wonder what that means for Cassandra, you know? Like the source material says a Mumadrai is the equal and opposite of their counterpart. So is she destined to be evil just because she's a Mumadrai? Or did Charles's attack, like, mess her up from the start? Because if she is a reflection of him, that's one messed up reflection.
Yeah. That's, wow. Talk about coming into the world with some baggage. So, okay, we can't just say Cassandra equals evil twin. We got to go deeper here. Like, what does it actually mean for her to be Professor X's opposite? What does that even look like?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, opposite doesn't really cover it. Like, we're talking about Professor X, right? He's all about peace and understanding, trying to make the world better.
Right.
Cassandra, not so much. She makes her presence known by wiping out, like, an entire country of mutants.
Yeah, the Josha massacre, it's definitely a good example of how powerful she is.
Yeah.
And how far she's willing to go.
Yeah.
16 million mutants just gone.
See, that's what gets me. It's not just random violence. This wiki entry makes it clear she's strategic, you know? It's like she doesn't just want to hurt mutants. She wants to destroy everything Professor X has ever worked for.
It's personal.
Big time.
It makes you wonder, though, like, is she really driven by this hatred of mutants? Or is it more about Charles? You know, this is a being who basically came into existence in opposition to him.
For sure, there's some I'll show you energy there.
Yeah.
And the Genosha thing, that's not even the worst of it. This wiki entry reads like a greatest hits of horrible things Cassandra Nova has done, building an army of sentinels.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, nightmare fuel for any mutant, those giant robots.
Like the mutant hunting robots.
And then there's that whole thing with her and Bolivar Trask.
Ah, yes. Bolivar Trask, speaking of fear and prejudice.
Yeah.
The guy who created the Sentinels in the first place.
Exactly. And Cassandra, what does she do? She basically merges with him, like absorbs his essence or something to take control of Master Mold.
Right. Which, again, for anyone who needs a reminder, Master Mold is like the big daddy of all Sentinels, this giant self-replicating Sentinel factory.
It's like she doesn't even want an army. She wants the factory that makes the army.
Total control on a massive scale.
And the way she takes over Trask, it's like nightmare fuel. It's not even mind control. It's like full-on possession. Like her mind just goes right into his and takes over. Honestly, even creepier than the giant robots, if you ask me.
Complete disregard for free will, for sure. Yeah. And that's just the beginning. Her next target is a little more, shall we say, up close and personal.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. This is the part I was not looking forward to. All that other stuff, that's like the opening act. Taking over Master Mold, wiping out Genosha, that's just Cassandra warming up for the main event. Taking over Professor X himself.
The ultimate betrayal. I mean, talk about violating. She literally steals his life, traps his consciousness somewhere, and starts using his powers to, like, destroy everything he built.
And here's what I don't get, right? If she just wants to kill mutants, she is in the perfect position. She is Professor X. Everybody trusts him. But it's like you said, she's playing a much bigger, much more messed up game. And the thing is, right, just when you think you're starting to understand her, Cassandra pulls some next level stuff. Like, I'm reading this wiki entry, and forget giant robots for a second. She starts weaponizing, like, people's worst instincts.
Oh, yeah. She gets a lot more insidious, less about brute force and more about manipulation.
It's messed up. Like, the wiki mentions her messing with people's minds, making them suspicious of mutants, turning them against each other.
Which, honestly, is probably more effective in the long run, if you really think about it. Fear and distrust can be way more powerful than any weapon.
Right. Like, you don't even know you're being played, just turn on each other. Way creepier than a giant robot, if you ask me.
And, of course, she doesn't just let Jean Grey off the hook. I mean, they've got that whole psychic link thing going on from way back.
Yeah, shared history or whatever.
Right, so Cassandra uses that to really get under Jean's skin, like a psychological attack, you know?
Brutal. But, okay, and then there's this whole thing with the Marauders, which, like, I am still trying to wrap my head around this. The Marauders are like the mutant assassination squad, right? They're not here to make friends.
No, not at all. Even among villains, they've got a reputation.
Exactly, everyone's scared of them. So Cassandra Nova, who pretty much hates all mutants, decides to join them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense on the surface, does it?
Mm.
But Emma Frost and Kate Pryde, they kind of use that to their advantage. They basically manipulate her, use her hatred to lure her into a trap.
And she falls for it.
Hook, line, and sinker. They end up stranding her, alone, 2 billion years in the past.
2 billion, I can't even, it's like unimaginable.
Right. Talk about a long con.
But is that really the end for someone like Cassandra Nova? I mean, this is a being that built herself a whole new body from scratch in the sewers. Twice. You really think being lost in time is going to stop her?
That's the question, isn't it? Is she gone for good or just biding her time?
Yeah.
And if she ever does come back, what will she look like? What will she be capable of?
Okay, now that's what I call a cliffhanger. You got me looking over my shoulder already. Well, that's it for our deep dive on Cassandra Nova. Big, bad, and about as complicated as they come in the X-Men universe. If you were stuck 2 billion years in the past with Cassandra Nova, what would you do? Let us know what you think on social media. We want to hear your theories. Until next time, keep diving deep, but maybe bring a flashlight. You never know what you'll find down there.